Hello and welcome to the Trading Bell. I'm Noakip Kamboy, and today we are talking matters credit information. Well, in this recovery environment, the issue is, can we get proper credit information and utilize that information for the betterment of our credit ecosystem? Well, I'll be having a chat with Getenga, the CEO of Credit Information Sharing Association of Kenya. They'll be telling us the issue about credit information. Starting off, I know in the minds of many Kenyans, when you talk about credit information, where we relate with our credit information is always at the CRB level, when I'm blacklisted. But for starters, what is credit information and why is it important?
Thank you very much for having me, and thanks for that question. Credit information is important because it helps, especially the lender, to know whom he's dealing with. Credit is an opportunity somebody has to use money that is not theirs. And we should give certain benefits to the lender so that you don't just walk in somewhere and get money. You never do it even in your estate. If you go to the shop and you just want some bread on credit, the shopkeeper will be interested in knowing, are you the new guy in the block who moved in, or do you live far away? And the more you interact with the shopkeeper, the easier it is over time for them to give you credit. So it is a natural expectation of a credit relationship that information is important. So the shopkeeper will want to know, do they earn? Do they live well as a family? Is there a good relationship in that home? Because it matters whether they will get their money back. So whenever you have to use money that is not yours, expect the lender to be interested in some information. So in the infrastructure of an economy, this information is stored in a credit reference bureau. Now, a credit reference bureau is not the only important infrastructure in the evolution of an economy's credit market. There are many other pieces of infrastructure like collateral registries, which help economies to improve, credit guarantee schemes. So there is a list of 3 or 4 critical pieces of infrastructure that make a country improve on its credit performance. So credit reference bureaus were established and are established across the world. Especially in real strong economies, credit reference bureaus are extremely powerful. And so that's important to say, because when we think of a credit reference bureau as a blacklist, we have got the whole story wrong. For one, because the most developed countries have really invested in effective credit reference bureaus. There are 2 types of bureaus largely. One is what is called Public Credit Registry, PCR. And the other one is a Private Credit Bureau, or CRB. Some countries, because of the importance of the CRB, have actually established it in the central banks. So there are countries, Germany has a very, very established central bank-based CRB, as you would call it. The same Germany has allowed, it's a dual system in Germany. So apart from the central bank bureau, they have a private bureau. In other countries, it's only central banks that run bureaus. Yet in other countries, it's only private, like Kenya. It's only private, 3 bureaus. Some countries choose to take 1, just kind of a monopoly, because even if it's private, they control the entry. But in Kenya, we chose to open it up and have competition because we are a free market. So the credit bureau then is a place where you can go and get objective information. That's the idea. So instead of me relying on or having to look around as a lender, I want to look at your accounts, I want to consult you, send somebody to check whether you really live where you say you live. The bureau establishes first the identity of the person, because again, people change identity, or they borrow in different names. So the bureau collates the information that you gave to a SACCO versus what you gave to a bank in terms of identity. So if I used 2 names in one place, 3 names in another, two other names in an MFI, they take that and try to confirm that this is the same person. They check with the government registry of identity, and then they collate that. So that's one of the roles they play, just to confirm that this is the same person, because we share names. So if you might be mistaken to be the other Noah who failed to pay their loan. So a bureau is good, because then if you pay your loans, you will not get mixed up. Your record will not be mixed up with somebody who didn't pay because you have the same name.
Okay.
So they try to establish identity of the person. They get the ID, passport, and they put that together. It's a very sophisticated system. The other thing they look at now is your history. They try to establish what is your character in terms of loan repayment. And it is not to say that if you failed to pay a loan or an installment sometime, that becomes the end of you. That's why, of course, scoring comes in. What kind of person are you historically? And how can that be projected to your future behavior? So there is a science behind it, data science, that is used by credit bureaus to kind of predict the future, give some element of comfort to the lender, especially because most lenders are not even using, some are using their own money, others are using depositors' money to lend. So we really need to be sensitive to the need of a credit bureau.
Definitely, and I'm glad you're able to establish the definitions for starters. So when you talk about CRB, it's not just about listing defaulters, but having all the information that a lender needs to effectively lend to you, which is very important. Now, I mean, when the mobile applications, mobile lending applications came into the market, we saw a spike of uptake of credit. And that opened a new can of worms in regards to matters collecting credit information and properly utilizing that. And the question that comes in this regard, default rates have been so high, and therefore the listings, You've seen the government come in with credit repair, framework, which is very important. But for starters, has data, credit information been helpful in trying to resolve this issue of non-performing loans, especially from mobile lending?
Yeah, it's good you mentioned that mobile lending really grew and extended the opportunities for many Kenyans to access credit. And I would like to tie that to the first question you raised about credit information. Because what is it that caused mobile lenders to be so comfortable lending to us so easily? Again, it was credit information. So we need to give credit where it's due, because credit information helps digital lenders to make quick decisions without meeting us face to face. So they have a certain algorithm based on credit information that enables them to say, this person, based on either his identity or their credit history, are good to lend. And so we are grateful that this country has been very innovative in the use of access to credit, and mobile lending has really grown. But in all lending environments, there are defaulters, and they are good payers. So, the conversation needs to be fair. It needs to be balanced. In fact, there are more good payers than there are defaulters in our economy. And that's true for both traditional lending as well as mobile-based lending. So the information that goes to the Bureau is both positive and negative. And the minority are the ones who default. And we cannot say that information should not be disclosed. And so for the sake of mobile lenders, both those who pay and those who don't found themselves in the system. Now, the ease with which we get credit on mobile tends to make people feel like that's the ease with which they should default, even people who can pay. So there's a temptation not to pay. And therefore, when that information goes to the Bureau, then you find a lot of hue and cry, hula baloo about blacklisting. This word blacklisting, if it were possible, should be eliminated from the dictionary, especially when it comes to credit reference bureaus. It's not there. I've gone to credit bureaus and I've asked them, where is this blacklist that people talk about? It doesn't exist. There is nobody in Kenya who is blacklisted. There's no list called a blacklist in a bureau.
So those who are unable to access credit after defaulting, what do you call that?